Sometimes, the deepest wounds are the ones we inflict on the people who cared for us the most. This is a painful admission. A story of how I ended up breaking the heart of the man who meant everything to me, and how I only realized the depth of that damage when it was far too late. I never imagined I'd become the villain in someone else's life, but now when I look at myself in the mirror, I barely recognize the person staring back. 2 years ago, I met Ryan. He was more than just a partner. He was my peace, my constant. He remembered the little things. How I liked my coffee, my fear of driving after dark. We dreamed of a future together, marriage, maybe kids someday, but mostly, we just had each other. And that felt like everything, until it suddenly wasn't. I can't trace the exact moment when my loyalty began to fade. Maybe it was the endless work nights, or the way Ryan trusted me so fully that I started to overlook what that trust meant. Or maybe it was simply the dangerous excitement of being noticed by someone new. Someone who saw me in a different light. That someone was Evan, a colleague with a charming smile and a flirtatious energy I couldn't ignore. It started harmless enough. Chats during breaks, inside jokes, texts about work. But it quickly crossed a line I tried to pretend didn't exist. The first lie to Ryan still haunts me. My heart pounded so loudly, I was sure he could hear it. I told him I had to work late, but really, I was sitting in Evan's car, laughing at something I don't even remember now, with his hand casually resting on my leg. It was a small moment, but it was the beginning of something that would unravel everything. Ryan didn't suspect a thing. That made it all worse. He trusted me so completely. When I came home late, he'd ask if I was okay, never accusing. When I grew distant, he assumed he was at fault, that he wasn't enough. But the truth was, I was the one drifting further every day. And the guilt didn't make me stop. I buried it instead, convincing myself I could juggle both lives. That Ryan was my stability and Evan was just a temporary escape. I told myself I could manage the fire without getting burned. I was wrong. One night, Ryan surprised me at the office with takeout. But I wasn't there. When he called, I panicked and told him I was out with co-workers. Technically true. But I left out that Evan's arm was around me at the time. When I got home, Ryan was waiting, sitting at the kitchen table with cold food in front of him. He still smiled and said, "I thought you might be hungry." That should have shattered me. But it didn't. I kept going. The end came unexpectedly. One Saturday, Ryan stepped out to get us coffee. While he was gone, a message popped up from Evan. Just a photo of us laughing together in his car the night before. I smiled at it, not thinking, and that's when Ryan walked in. He saw the image. He didn't yell. He just stood there, looking at me with this quiet devastation in his eyes. "Who's Evan?" he asked, barely above a whisper. I froze. I tried to explain, but my voice failed me. He saw right through me. "How long?" he asked. That was it, I broke. I told him everything. Every lie, every moment, every piece of betrayal I had kept hidden. Ryan didn't cry. He simply nodded, stood up, and walked out of the apartment. I chased after him, sobbing, begging him to stay. But he didn't turn around. That silence was louder than any scream. I tried everything after that, calls, texts, waiting outside his door. Nothing worked. Days passed with no word from him. Then I saw him at work one afternoon. He'd come by to collect the few things he'd left at my place. He looked so distant, like a shell of who he used to be. All he said was, "If you weren't happy you could have just said so. I would have let you go. But you didn't have to break me to find yourself." That was when it truly hit me. I hadn't just betrayed someone. I'd destroyed the one person who believed in me without conditions. I had ruined his ability to trust, to feel safe with someone. I had turned his love into a scar he'd carry forever. 6 months have passed since that day. I still see him sometimes, across the street, in a grocery store. He never looks at me. He doesn't glare, doesn't frown. He just looks right through me, like I don't exist. And that, somehow, is even more painful than hatred. Hatred means something still lingers. But for him, I've become nothing. Evan is long gone. It was never real love. Just a spark that faded the moment Ryan walked out of my life. Now all I have left is the aftermath. I replay every choice I made. Every opportunity one had to stop, to choose differently, to protect the love I was so lucky to have. But I didn't. I chose selfishly, foolishly. I thought Ryan would always be there. I was wrong. And now I live with the memory of the man who gave me everything and received nothing but betrayal in return. I'm not telling this story to ask for forgiveness. I don't expect it. I know I don't deserve it. But I needed to say it, to admit what I did, to acknowledge the damage I caused. People talk about healing, about rebuilding after betrayal. But that's not what this is. This is the story of a man who deserved loyalty and got lies instead. Who deserved to be cherished but was taken for granted. Ryan deserves more than my apologies. He deserves a life where love isn't something that gets thrown away for a moment of excitement. Sometimes I still wish I could tell him I'm sorry, just once more. But I know it wouldn't change anything. Some wounds don't heal, no matter how badly you want them to. If I had the chance, I'd go back. I'd protect what we had. I'd appreciate the love he gave me. But life doesn't offer second chances. Only lessons. And mine came far too late. I loved him carelessly. I thought his love was something I could always count on. But love isn't indestructible. Not when you betray it. And I did. Completely.